Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back. Welcome to the show. It is Wednesday. You're watching this and you are all out of sorts because this is a pre-tape, but it's an awesome pre-tape because we're here to talk to you guys about Ocean's 11. Ocean's 8 is just hitting theaters right now, and we knew we had to talk about this classic, one of the great heist films ever made, one of our integral pieces of our childhood. We needed to talk about Ocean's 11. We're excited to talk to you guys about it. We'll be right back with a full breakdown right now.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Action Movie Anatomy.
This song came out this year. The movie came out.
It did, yeah. I had someone recently comment on one of our matches. What is their entrance music?
Yeah.
It's still Dre, baby.
954
954 pennies.
What?
And them corners in a Lolo, girl. I don't know what that means.
What are you saying?
I don't know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's Action Movie Anatomy. It's Wednesday. You're here. You're watching us talk movies. Movies we love to talk about. Today we're talking Ocean's 11, 2001. This movie is the height of our childhood. This is like the biggest stars and the biggest moments of their careers when we're at like the most impressionable age as movie fans that there is in our life.
Yeah, well, we're 13 when this movie comes out, and it's got the biggest stars in the world being the coolest that they could possibly be.
Oh,
and
yeah.
what's cooler to do as a star than pull off a heist?
Yeah, then rob a bank and casino.
Yeah,
nobody gets shot. There's no violence.
There is no violence. They even say they're like, are we going to carry guns? It's like, yeah, we're going to carry guns. They're not going to use them, though.
It's even less violence than Gone in 60 Seconds, where one guy gets like shot through a rear view mirror.
Oh, yeah.
And doesn't even die. He just bleeds a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that this is like why this is one of the truest popcorn action movies, heist movies ever made. And it is honestly probably the most oh man, what's the word I'm looking for? Just like made for the general public.
Yeah.
Like you think about who all these people were in their career at the time, the lack of violence, the PG-13, the Soderbergh, Clooney, like this movie was just made to make money.
Yeah, you're kind of tying into my thesis a little, so I'll save that right now.
I was trying to kind of create one as I was talking, but
nice.
I couldn't get there.
I like that.
I'm gonna hop in first.
So, guys, we are here to talk to you, as we always do, about action movies on the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network dedicated to talking movies, all things movie-related, and doing pop culture by the bucketful. I'm your host, Ben Bateman. You can find me at Ben Bateman Media, Twitter, Instagram. You can find our podcast Twitter at AMA Podcast.
And I'm his trusty co-host. I gave myself that title.
That's good.
Andrew Ghai, and you can find me at Andrew Ghai on Instagram and Twitter, and you can find our Facebook page for this show specifically. It's the Action Movie Anatomy fan page on Facebook, and we also have the Action Army fan page, which is dedicated to our Schmoes Know personalities, which is a movie trivia show that you and I actually just did a live event at.
Yeah.
And I actually don't know if we won or not because it hasn't happened yet.
This is aired before the live. This is taped before the live event, but we'll be airing after.
Yeah, and God, I hope we win.
Yeah, I'll be so happy.
I want to so badly.
Let's just be happy. We won.
Yeah, we
Hey!
won. We won. Oh man, I hope that this works out. Yeah, so I don't need to promote the tickets. I don't need to tell you where they are, but you can support our Team Action at patreon.com/Team Action. We got a lot of extra content that Ben and I do. It's all movie related and Schmodown related, but it might be covering movies like Love, Simon or other movies that we would never cover on Action Movie Anatomy.
Yeah, so we get to kind of do extra content there. Patreon.com/Team Action, and a quick shout out to a couple of our cadets, our commodores, our petty officers,
Whatever you want to call them.
Eshna Kabir and Austin Deutsch.
Deutsch. Let's do Deutsch. Let's say that.
Yeah, I like it better than douche.
Yeah, let's do that.
Deutsch.
Guys, we
Salute you!
Thank you
in
so
the Army.
much.
Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Army. Let's get into the show, guys. We cover action movies on this show. They adhere to 4 basic rules.
Austin
Number
just
1,
canceled his subscription, by the way.
the hero always plays by their own rules. I would say Danny Ocean is the hero, and I'd say he plays by his own rules.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell from the beginning because he gets out of prison and immediately goes back to doing what he is best at.
Yeah, immediately goes back to it. 2, the hero and the villain are always the smartest people, beings, things, dinosaurs, what have you in the room. I mean, he definitely, and I would say, if you say that all of the heroes are like, it's Clooney and then his gang, and then Benedict's pretty smart.
Benedict's great.
He's pretty hard to outsmart.
Yeah, and I love Andy Garcia.
Yeah,
I really love him as an actor.
Yeah, me too. He's been great in a lot of things. And this is I don't think this is peak Garcia. Peak Garcia is more like Godfather Part 3.
Yeah.
It's a little earlier than this. But this is a really good era in his career.
Do you think his career suffered because of The Godfather? Do you think that's why he never went on to do like, because he did a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
but he
Godfather
never
Part
actually
3,
went to like up here.
I mean, Godfather Part 3 is 1990, so it's pretty early on. he had a solid career. I would argue that playing Terry Benedict is maybe the biggest thing he ever did other than Godfather Part 3.
So interesting.
Well, because this movie spawned 2 sequels.
Yeah,
he's in the sequels.
All wildly popular. They all made a shitload of money. And like if you're like, tell me your favorite Andy Garcia role, I'm like,
Probably Ocean's
I'm
11.
like, Hoodlum.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, Steve up in the booth here. How you doing, Steve?
My boy.
Doing good, guys. Thank you.
Can we queue up Andy Garcia's IMDb really quickly? Can you just blow up on the screen for me? I just want to sort of look at it and see what I'm forgetting, because he's definitely one of those guys who had the leading man charisma, and he had the sexiness.
Yeah, he's definitely got the charisma. He's got the looks. He's got it all.
And he just is one of those guys that sort of, he never quite got to that, like, yeah, look at that. Known for his biggest role, Ocean's 11.
That is so interesting.
Yeah.
So we got Ocean's 11, The Godfather, obviously, The Lost City, Ocean's 12, Book Club, Bent, I don't even know, Geostorm. Like it gets into like a pretty crazy
Book
list.
Club. Book Club, that good old film. Should have opened on Mother's Day.
My favorite.
But it didn't.
Mamma Mia.
Yeah, right.
Mamma Mia, here we go again.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
Passengers. Yeah, I mean, so it's clear he still works a lot, but like he fell.
Very famous. Just didn't. He could have it felt like he could have come out of this movie, this moment in his career, with like a bigger push.
Because he's not a bad actor.
No, he's a good actor.
He's a good actor.
Yeah.
It's just, he's an anomaly to me. Maybe that's my thesis. Maybe my thesis is that the career of Andy Garcia makes no sense to me.
Yeah, but so we will get to thesis in 1 second. Hero and the villain are always the smartest people, beings, things, dinosaurs in the room. I think we can argue and agree that he is the smartest.
Benedict definitely is.
Yeah. Rule number 3, the movie is driven by police, military, political, or mercenary figure. Really not. Danny Ocean's just a thief.
He's just a straight up thief, and he only lies about being a thief.
And rule number 4, the movie contains a minimum of 1 explosion. We like blow some stuff up. They blow some safes. There's some explosions in this movie.
And even if there's not, we're still going to cover it.
Yeah. So coming up today on the show, guys, we have a couple super duper fun things. We have a segment we're going to talk about movies that made us feel the coolest as kids.
Yes.
Roles by actors that when we grew up, just a bunch of 40-year-old white dudes, just because when you're 12-year-old us in our generation, that's what was cool. And so our favorite roles that made us feel the most awesome growing up, we're going to talk about. We're going to get a thesis statement, fist of moment, all the things that we love and know. And we're going to talk a lot about the star power of this cast, because it's an exciting cast.
Probably one of the most star-studded casts ever covered on the show.
Yeah, I would, and I have an interesting thing to bring up about that in a second when we get there. So I would say, without further ado, let's cue up the trailer and get to thesis statement.
This is good.
I don't remember. 2001. So this is right around the same time as a slave.
As a slave. We used to watch trailers before the show, but now we prefer not to.
Yeah.
3 casinos. Vegas, huh?
Vegas?
Vegas.
Fantastic. The heist is impossible.
The
heist is impossible.
They have one night to lose their virginity.
Danny, what? You're pulling a job, aren't you?
On the most important night of the year.
I only lied
good is
about
that?
being a thief.
That's
You can
amazing.
make a
Yeah.
crew
So
as
good.
nuts as you are. What do you got in mind?
Smash and grab job, huh? Slightly more complicated than that.
Say we get down the elevator we can't move, and past the guards with the guns, and into the vault we can't open. We're just supposed to walk out of there with $150 million in cash.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's a great moment.
But these guys
That is the sexiest thing I have ever seen.
are just crazy enough.
It's so funny that like we were all convinced as a society that this voice made us want to watch movies more. When it's so ridiculous.
Everything about this trailer is good except for that.
Yeah, exactly. It's so distracting.
It literally feels like this should be the trailer for American Pie.
This is a joke.
4 friends.
Congratulations. You're a dead man. George Clooney, Matt Damon, Andy Garcia, Brad Pitt, and Julia Roberts.
Why do this?
Why not do it? From the Academy Award-winning director of Traffic and Aaron Brockovich.
This is literally his next movie.
Yeah, after doing both of those movies in 1 year.
And then you take the house.
Him and Zemeckis had a killer 2000.
Yeah, big time.
Because Zemeckis did Castaway and What Lies Beneath.
Ocean's 11.
Killer.
That movie was actually really, really popular when it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fine trailer. I mean, it's exactly what you expect.
It's just
out of
trailers
it.
weren't very good in 2001.
No.
Unless
and
they were for the art of war. We still haven't.
Still haven't, sir. Okay, so let's move on to the next segment of the show, the thesis statement.
Yes. I'm going to jump in second. Do you have yours? Do you want to?
Yeah, so my bold statement about this movie, my thing that is based in hyperbole.
Yeah.
It's very strong. If I was at a party, this would be the one thing that I had to talk about.
Are you explaining what it is? Because I
am,
explain
because
what
you
thesis
didn't,
is.
and I'm trying to.
I like that. Nice.
It's my 166th show. It's actually not. It's probably 150 something.
Yeah, I don't know.
My thesis is that this is the most powerful, star-studded ensemble cast of any generation ever.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, and it's one of those things where it's like also revisionist history, where you go back and you look at it, you're like, wow, look at what they did. But at the time, think about it. He just said it. The Academy Award-winning director from Traffic, and Aaron Brockovich, which Julia Roberts was just in Aaron Brockovich. And you got George Clooney, who's like the biggest star in the world, and Brad Pitt is the hottest young star in the world, and Matt Damon is just coming off of Saving Private Ryan and Good Will Hunting. Bernie Mac has the Bernie Mac show.
Yeah, right.
Like John Shadell, like everyone. Casey Affleck is an Academy Award winner now.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Massive, yeah.
And
no
so
doubt.
you talk about it, and it's like, it's one of those things where no matter what I do, and even now when you look at Ocean's 8 and the cast that is,
Yeah.
there's a reason why Ocean's 8 cast looks like that with women.
Yeah.
It has to.
It has to.
Because if you're going to do an Ocean's movie, it has to have the biggest stars in the world.
You got to get Rihanna in your movie.
You have to get Rihanna. You have to get
Sandra
Kate
Bullock
Blanchett.
and Kate Blanchett.
Yeah,
It's
and
Cole's.
Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
Like, it's just...
Yeah.
It's relentless.
Academy Award winner.
Like
Grammy
all-time
winner.
great, all-time great, all-time
Yeah.
great. Like one of the most famous, one of the highest grossing ever.
Yeah.
Like all that. So, and we've covered a lot of really great ensemble casts.
Oh yeah.
I
I feel like you and I both get roped into using that thesis.
we really do.
Yeah, Ronan was like I think one we used it
Ronan
on.
was one.
Heat for sure. There's like a bunch that we've used it on because it's like it's hard. You watch a movie and you're like, I mean, Saving Private Ryan has an insane one.
Yeah, and I think now with all the episodes we've covered and everything I've done, I think I gotta put all those to rest. And I think this actually takes. I think this. I don't want to say trumps it, but I think this takes it all.
Well, I think there's a couple reasons what you're saying has a lot of merit. I don't know if I totally agree with you, but here's what's most interesting about it. The four they build 5 names in that trailer. The only one of those 5 names that's not still a clear A-lister, like could still open any movie, is Andy Garcia.
Right.
But the other ones, George Clooney, Oscar winner, Matt Damon, Academy Award nominated.
No, he's a winner. Damon won for writing. For
For
Goodwill.
writing, sure, yeah. Brad Pitt, multiple-time Academy Award nominated writer and winner for Best Picture produced films.
And then you got
Clooney. He's won Best Supporting Actor before.
Yeah.
So I mean, the whole cast stayed super relevant. 17 years later, that whole cast is like the main cast. They're all still massively famous.
17 years later, that's
Massively
It's
famous.
huge.
So that's to me probably the most notable part about this is that I don't feel like.
Because it feels dirty for me to say it.
Yeah,
You know
of
what I mean?
course.
Like, it feels dangerous.
Right, of course.
But, like, you look at the people in there and you say, you know, Clooney, Pitt, Damon, Roberts.
Yeah.
That's all you really even need to
And
say.
some of your supporting characters,
Yeah.
like Casey
Affleck.
Affleck.
Yeah.
He's an Academy Award winner
is.
recently.
Yeah, I mean, he is a piece of shit.
Yeah, which we have
Which we don't need to talk about that. We don't need to talk about that. But yeah, so that is my thesis, and I feel like it's just the biggest home run hitting cast ever
Yeah, it's a pretty massive cast.
for
So-
the time.
Yeah.
too. Because
So-
if this movie came out now with all those people, and I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm going to go on and say that this is the most impressive PG-13 family-friendly film of the 21st century. Like, and I mean that in the sense PG-13. I don't even know if it's actually rated PG-13.
It is. It's got to be.
But I mean it in the sense that it's everything about this movie is fun and slick and stylish. And
There's
cool.
something so 90s, because the 90s were also like such a PG-13 era.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? This is almost like the most epitomizing movie of the 90s.
Yeah, like for me when I watch this movie, there's a lot of moments that I'm watching and I'm like, okay, like I'm not that entertained as a 30-year-old man, 29-year-old, actually 30 by the time you guys are watching this. I'm
holy
not
shit,
that
yeah.
entertained
Happy
by
birthday.
a lot of the writing in this movie because a lot of it's like cheesy and gimmicky and like kind of dumb jokes
Yeah.
and it's like it's trying to be too cute.
It's like a little too fun.
Yeah, like, you know, and it's like the jokes that really landed for me when I was 13, like when he gives the speech and he's like, but that one time you take the house. And Brad Pitt's like, did you rehearse that? And he's like, yeah, I feel like I rushed it. You know, it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And you're
As
like,
a
oh,
kid,
this
you're
is
like,
so
oh,
charming and
acting,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, but then, you know, now you're like, all right, it's like a little, like, it's a little too cute.
Whereas as an adult watching this movie, I actually my fist pump was almost when they introduced the two brothers.
Yeah,
'Cause
right.
It's so funny and perfect and
Totally.
hilarious, and we relate to it. It's like, you know what I mean? It's
Totally.
real.
But I can imagine watching this movie, like my dad took me to see this in theaters.
Yeah, he
know?
takes you to just
Sweet
this one's
movies.
okay. This
Yeah.
one's okay. Yeah.
I remember my dad taking me to see this movie, and like, you know, we walked out of it, and it was just like the coolest thing in the world. You know, my dad at the time was probably, you know, in his 50s, so
He probably felt cool as
he's
hell,
looking
too.
at Clooney, and he's
Yeah.
like, this just makes me feel like I watching Newman as a kid. You know, he's like, this guy's the coolest. And he's like, I love this cast. You know, he loves movies. And his
Right.
son, of course, who's 13, is like, oh, this is the coolest. All these dudes, all these awesome characters, you know, dudes to look up to. It's such like a cool, fun, family-friendly, exciting, clever, but like so electric because of the stars involved. I don't think there's a movie in the 21st century that is more like exactly this. There's no other movie that feels as much like this.
And what's so great about it is that like you don't know how they're going to pull it off, which is I think is the strongest point of any heist movie. Is you have to be robbed from when the movie ends, where you're kind of like, man, they would have got me.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Totally.
But yeah, with this cast and that, it was just like, what made you feel cooler than Ocean's 11 in 2001?
Yeah, for sure. So that's going to wrap up a thesis statement. We're going to get to our next part of our show, which is fist pump moment.
Yes.
This is that moment something happens. I think this is going to be a long one. This is that moment something happens. You kind of look around. You're like, this is so awesome. This is so good.
I love
this movie.
Yeah.
And for me, you know, I wanted to maybe use the phrase that Ocean's 11 is the greatest heist movie of all time.
Yeah,
But
it's
I think
dangerous.
if you start to include movies that have a different tone, like Heat's got such a different tone, then it's a harder conversation to have, because I don't think this is a better movie than Heat, but it's also a distinctly different kind of movie than Heat. This movie feels far more like watching the Thomas Crown Affair, or much more like watching.
It feels like you can watch Heat, but you can also like breathe.
Heat's like a
easily
crime movie.
throughout. Yeah, like Heat, I'm like the whole time like, fuck, what's gonna happen? Whereas this movie, I'm just like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah,
You know
I mean,
what
the fact that there's no guns, the fact that there's no violence, that there's no bloodshed, it makes this movie so much more like just fun. I mean, it's supposed to be fun. That's exactly what it is. Even the tone of the trailer is matched by the movie.
Yeah, because if there were any moments of like, you know, you think of like Ted Levine, or not even Ted Levine, the other guy in Heat, the other creepy guy,
Waingro?
Waingro.
Yeah.
Who plays him?
I don't know the actor's name.
Yeah,
He's
that
not-
guy. Like, there's nothing of that in the movie where you're like, there's just like this really dark,
Yeah, of course.
like upsetting part of this film.
Well, it's also just like trying to be so much. It doesn't take itself anywhere near as seriously.
Not at all. Not at
Yeah.
all.
And the cast. I mean, I think one really interesting thing about this cast, which we're going to get to in just 1 second. In fact, I'll save it because we have a lot of conversations
Okay,
about that.
so your fist pump is
Oh, man, I think my fist pump moment in this movie has got to be. Oh, man, there's just so many that I like, and they're all just like cool
there's so
moments.
many good ones.
They're not like, none of them are like. Maybe my fist pump moment is when Clooney sits down at the table with the cards, and you see him walk behind Pitt at the bar and sit down, and Pitt walks in, and you see Clooney, and you're like, of course he managed to get his way in here with a bunch of celebrities, and none of them think that it's weird.
Right.
And he's so cool that like they're just like willing to have him there, and they start having like the veiled conversation like they don't know each other, and you're like, okay, this guy's you're like, he's a little dangerous, he's a little sexy. You're like, God, what I wouldn't do to be that guy.
To
You're
be
like,
that
You're like,
person.
he is just the coolest. You're like, look at that gray hair and his hair and the turtleneck. And you're like, he plays cards and he's just like, he looks good with a scotch in his hand. You're like, that's everything I want to be as a
20,
man.
dealer has 19. Yeah.
I mean, George Clooney is truly like as cool as anyone's ever been in this movie.
Yeah, he is. He really is.
So I think just that when he first sits down, it's like pretty freaking excellent.
Yeah, that's great. I think for me, my favorite moment actually has to do with Rusty, Brad Pitt.
Okay.
And it's when he's talking to Benedict at the end of the movie, and he's really laying out everything. He's like, I'm in charge here. This is what's gonna happen. This is what you're gonna do. This is how we're gonna get your money. This is how you're gonna keep half of it. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And like Garcia, at some point, he does this, and Tessa's like, what? And he's like, don't you think it'd be better if you weren't here?
Yeah.
And
She goes and finds
she
Rusty.
goes straight to Brad Pitt, like in a fucking casino in the middle of Vegas. She knows exactly where he is.
And I love that she goes, Brad Pitt's on the phone, like, those are our terms. The choice is yours. Hi. Yeah. Covers his phone.
And I just love that. Like, I think my fist pump is the fact that like she knows where he is.
Yeah.
She knows he's being a piece of shit.
She knows exactly what's going on from the second she sees Danny.
And he knows that like as soon as she's there, he's like, we're caught. So I'm just gonna keep doing my thing. And that's what I
Because if she
that's-
wants to rat on us, she's going to.
And she's going to. So that's my fist bump, is that he just keeps talking. He just keeps giving it to Benedict right in that moment.
Yeah.
And he just smiles at her and he does it like, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
It's
it's
amazing.
excellent. There's a lot of really good ones. I mean, like, I'm pretty mesmerized by George Clooney in this movie in general. Just like the way he talks to people.
George Clooney in a lot of movies is incredibly mesmerizing.
Yeah, he's just. This is like where.
That guy could talk me into having sex.
Yeah. Whoa.
Whoa. I'm telling you, man.
It's probably time to stop drinking.
Yeah, I know. No, but honestly, that guy is. There's very few actors in his many movies.
Yeah.
That is just like, you look at Michael Clayton, you look at Up in the Air, you look at Oceans, like George Clooney's the coolest dude ever.
Ever. He's just like him talking is like. And so my buddy Ben Ashbrook, I think I've told you met him before.
Yeah.
He worked for Clooney's production company, the company that did a lot of Clooney's bad movies they directed, but it also did Syriana and Good Night and Good Luck. And he told me that, you know, the story you always hear about the best actors, where they're the guy on set, knows everybody's name. You've heard this story before.
Yep, Cruise, Clooney.
Yeah, and they know everyone's name down to the grip, and they ask them how their day is. They're very serious. They're focused on getting the job done. But he was like, yeah, you know, we'd be in the office all day, you know, we'd look at scripts or whatever, you know, he'd come in, he'd say, I like this, I don't like this, we'd be on set. He's like, you know, he'd take the whole crew out to Jones on Third at the end of the day and just buy rounds for everybody.
Right.
He's like, he was just the coolest. He was like, he literally taught me how to be a professional, how to be like somebody who had vision of being creative, not just an actor, but like wanting to be that creative guy.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to hear that story about him, because like Clooney's one of those guys that you just feel like he's got to be just like he seems.
Well, because you couldn't not be. You couldn't come off on camera as that magnetic if you weren't even remotely that magnetic in real life.
Just that confident.
You would just have to be.
Yeah.
Like, there's a thing about these guys we talk about. We talk about all these stars that are just like, you know, the Pratts and the Clooneys and the Cruises of the world that are just like, and the Hemsworths and the Batistas that are just like cool and fun, and like they're all having just as good of a time as you are, you know. And like,
did you see any of the pictures of George Clooney at the royal wedding? Even like,
I didn't know he was there,
dude. Just keep talking. I'll just show you the picture, because I asked Roxy the other day. You know, the picture came up, and I was like, "Who's hotter, 40-year-old George Clooney or George Clooney now?" And she's like, "It's more impressive what he looks like now."
Yeah. So this is perfect. We'll move on to the star profiles and George Clooney. We'll talk about where he was at in his career at the time. And honestly,
look at 60-year-old Clooney at the wedding. You're just like, Jesus. You're like, how do you age like that?
Look, guys, all of you, pause this video right now. Go look. Hey, actually, Steven's just gonna. Yeah, that's the picture right there.
He
Zoom in on
literally
that.
looks,
Look at that guy.
He looks like he's turned into a living silver fox. Like,
Not only is his hair the same color as his suit,
amazing. I don't even just know how to even look at his facial hair.
I wonder what he does to
It's
work
immaculate.
out. I don't think he does anything.
He just drinks tequila.
Yeah, that's all he does. Casamigos. Yeah. You look at Clooney's career at the time, and it's interesting because he was really. This is your dream as an actor, right? Like, you get A Perfect Storm, you get A Brother Where Art Thou, and you get Spy Kids. So I know that seems kind of like it's like almost funny to say, but you go Coen Brothers, massive blockbuster disaster movie,
right?
And one of the most famous, honestly, kids franchises ever made.
And you follow it up the next year with Ocean's 11.
With Ocean's 11.
Yeah, we were literally, as the cameras were off, I was saying that I look at movie stars, the mega like level 1 A+,
right, the
movie
Pitts,
stars,
the Caprios, the Damons,
in like
Clooney's.
two phases of careers. Like, right, there's like the first phase where you're like still close enough to the world learning your name. You can't have had staying power yet. You probably had a couple hits, maybe a franchise, maybe an Oscar nominated or winning role.
Right.
But to really maintain, to be an impressive star, like that triple plus, you know, whatever. I'm making up terms here.
Yeah, no, that's not a real thing.
You have to maintain and continue to be an A-list star 10 years later.
Yeah.
And so it's like Clooney getting ER, even like getting Batman, which is still pretty early in his career. It's like just a few years in.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
It's really like the post Ocean's 11 getting into that like Syriana, Good Night and Good Luck phase of his career, where you're like, all right, George Clooney is truly just that guy. Like, Up in the Air, when he's in the trailer and he's giving his speech about, you know, pack the most important things in your life.
Yep.
Hey, you know, Steven, can you actually do us a favor really quickly and look up Up
like-
in the Air Clooney speech?
I feel like you've been drinking,
sorry,
not me.
Yeah.
Look up the Clooney
Up in the
speech on-
Air Clooney speech.
Got you. Thank you so much.
But like, I think if you look at sort of stars and you think of them in two halves like that, it's that phase of his career that's more impressive, because this is like,
Which one?
the latter half, like post Ocean's 11. But Ocean's 11 to me is the launch pad to the next half.
Well, the reason I agree with that is because I also feel like as an audience we were much more critical after 2006.
Yeah.
Like really, I feel like as an audience we just kind of would take what we were given up in the early 2000s, and then we kind of woke up.
Totally.
Not that the movies weren't good in the early 2000s. It was just like we expected more.
Yeah. So I don't remember how long this is. Probably like 2 minutes long.
Yeah, it's about 3 minutes long.
Yeah, we could watch it just like a minute of it or something. But just like listen to him talk. And this is like, this is 10 years later, just about 8 years later. Do you remember this at all?
I've seen this movie twice.
And he's talking about like pack the most important things in your life.
Your life way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We'll watch like a minute of this. Just to,
Imagine for a second that you're carrying a backpack. I want you to feel the
he's
straps
so
on your
believable.
shoulders.
Yeah.
He's so believable. It's like
Feel 'em?
Is like the everyman, but
want
the
you to
coolest
pack it
everyman ever.
All the
he's the
stuff
speaker,
that
the
you have in
keynote
your
speaker
life.
that you would
Start
be
with
like,
the little
God
things.
damn, I want to have dinner with that guy.
Yeah.
The drawers, the knickknacks, collectibles. Feel the weight as that adds up.
Well, it's funny because he's like he
Start
is
adding
like a
larger
beautiful man.
Yeah.
But they do this thing about him that makes him
Appliances,
somewhat personable.
lamps,
Yeah.
You know.
linens, your TV. Backpack should be getting pretty heavy now. You go bigger. Your
Can you
couch,
imagine how when he has kids
bed,
and
your
talking to his
kitchen table.
son,
Stuff it all
you're
in
gonna
there.
take
Your
that girl
car,
prom.
get it in your
You're gonna treat her well.
Your home.
Well, now you might be tired, but you got to
It's a
take her
studio
out.
apartment
Have a
or
good night.
a
Act like a
two-bedroom
man,
house.
son.
Yeah.
Like,
I want you to stuff it all into that.
I feel like okay, that's perfect.
you
Steven.
can kill
so
it.
I feel
It's
like
just
this
the
is
cadence with which he talks.
So I'm going to go into Brad Pitt's star profile, and I think it's a perfect time for our segment
Yeah.
because it just makes the most sense. So Brad Pitt, at the same time, you actually were saying that you felt like I was saying I felt like Clooney was like this.
Yeah.
But you felt like he was kind of already up here. You felt more like Brad Pitt was on his way up, which is true because he did Snatch in 2000, The Mexican in 2001, also with Julia Roberts, and Spy Game in 2001, which was Robert Redford directed. Right? Oh no, that's a Thin Red Line. Spy Game
Is Tony Scott.
Tony Scott. Yeah. And so this is really him doing like I am the next. It's almost like I'm the next George Clooney.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's super interesting. He like so you there's a story about Brad Pitt and George Clooney both going out for Out of Sight. They auditioned for the same part. And a lot of people probably on this show haven't watched Out of Sight. It's pretty old now. It's like 96, 97.
What is it? Clooney and Kidman?
It's Clooney and J-Lo.
J-Lo, right?
And J-Lo's like as good as she's ever been. The movie is actually just a little bit of like the blueprint of this movie because it's the same thing. He gets out of prison to start the movie, starts going backwards in time, telling the story. He's a thief. He's got his like crew. It's like a little different.
Is it good?
It's phenomenal.
Oh, really?
Out of Sight's so
Out
good.
of Sight is and J-Lo's good in it.
She's great. Like it's
She's
truly like
actually not that bad of an actress.
yeah, you'll love her in this movie. But so there's like a scene in Out of Sight where like he like takes off his shirt or something like that in a hotel room, and he like literally tells the story in some interview where he's just like, yeah, you know, like, oh no, I'm sorry, it's Thelma and Louise is the role,
Okay.
and he's like, it was literally me and Brad up for the same role, and they just brought us in the room just to take your shirt off, and Brad Pitt has the better body.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't Brad Pitt in Thelma and Louise?
So he gets the role, and
Yeah,
Clooney
yeah.
doesn't get the role, which is hilarious that like these two guys were up against each other in '92.
yeah, for just to take off your clothes.
And they literally it seems like Clooney is the elder statesman and Pitt's the younger guy,
As like his older brother.
but they were just going out for the same shit.
That's so funny.
So like, but anyway, but going back for a second to Brad Pitt, I think the difference is at this point, Clooney had like really put in the time and he already had that like, I'm 40, I've got the graying hair, I can like handle myself.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt was like a sex symbol.
Yeah, he was like the young hot buck.
Yeah, right. He like had his first really major successful roles in like 95-ish.
Yep.
So but at this point it was like he still felt like a young guy, even though like their careers kind of started at the same time.
It's like everyone knew who he was, but he was just young.
Yeah.
You couldn't look at him the same way you looked at Clooney. So that being said, with Clooney and Pitt's star profiles being discussed, you and I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we were going to talk about some of the roles that made us feel the coolest as kids.
Yeah.
Like when you watched it, you were like, man, I want to be that guy.
that guy's the coolest.
That guy's the coolest. If I could be even 10% of who that guy is,
Yeah.
I'll be happy.
So I think for me, it's got to be Tom Cruise in Vanilla Sky. No, just kidding. I'm not going. Not going
I was like almost going to let you go.
when he's got the mask on.
Yeah, I know you love that part. I obviously want to say Russell Crowe in Gladiators Maximus, but I'm not going to.
You're gonna skip it.
I'm going to save everyone that, and I'm going to actually say as my number 3, Antonio Banderas in Zorro.
Antonio Banderas.
Like, not only was his soon-to-be stepdad was going to be Anthony Hopkins. His soon-to-be wife was the hottest version of Catherine Zeta-Jones ever, and I just thought there was something so incredibly fascinating about like sword fighting as a kid.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was the greatest ever.
Yeah,
It was amazing. And that movie was so cool when it came out.
You still are convinced we're gonna do it on the show. Oh, it's happening.
We're gonna do it on the show.
Your mom's gonna actually just fill in for me while I'm out of town.
My mom was so happy that we covered kind of Monte Cristo, and then she legitimately was like, "When are you guys gonna do Mask of Zorro?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's your number 3?
My number 3 is gonna be. I guess it'll be DiCaprio and Catch Me If You Can. Because like
Frank Abagnale.
Frank Abagnale Jr.
He's
like
one of the coolest.
He's just like everything he did. Because I was a kid. It's like you imagine you're like I could do that.
I could do that.
You're like
exactly.
I could take like little decals off the planes and like I could make like a passport out of it.
I could dip checks into water and reprint them. And
I could figure that out. And you're like I'm charming. I could pretend to be a lawyer or a doctor.
I think honestly more than any other movie, Catch Me If You Can, Frank Abagnale Jr. made me feel like I could be him.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. He's just so good in that movie, and he's so like, it's the perfect age for DiCaprio too because he plays like a wide-eyed kid really, really well. There's also enough of him,
like 30 probably still.
Yeah, he's probably right around.
Plays like 18.
Yeah, I would guess he's like probably 46, 47 now.
Crazy.
So he's probably right around 30 there, maybe 28 or something.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, he always had that baby face a little bit, so he could get away with it.
He did.
Yeah.
That movie's so good. All right. My number 2. I'm gonna go. I'm Batman.
Oh, Keaton.
Keaton and Batman made me feel not. I think it's because my mom also had a crush on him.
Yeah.
That I was just like, that's a man's man.
Yeah.
And, like my mom likes him, and I think he's the coolest guy ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
And like, I mean, he just did that sweet commencement speech. Did you see that where he says, "I'm Batman"?
Batman,
and it just reminded me, I'm like, Keaton is truly one of the most badass dudes ever.
He's had
and you
such
look at
an
his
awesome
career now.
career.
Yeah, it's like you look at him and what he's done in the last 3 years. You're just like,
the
dude,
comeback tour has
so
been
happy.
super sweet for Keaton. Yeah,
he's the best.
love Keaton. Everybody getting real close. Little too close.
Little too close. Don't go chasing waterfalls.
I don't understand the
the
reference.
reference.
How I would kill for an Other Guys sequel. Just to
Are they doing one?
No, I watched Daddy's Home 2. Like I had started to try watching it on an airplane,
it's fine.
and I finished it the other day. It's unwatchably bad. It's like not even funny. It's unfunny.
Yeah, it's not good. I saw it in theaters.
Sucks.
My sister wanted to see it.
I like couldn't believe how like everything about it that should have been funny like wasn't.
It was real bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, even with Lithgow and Gibson, you think you could do something.
And you're just like, how did this get a sequel and Other Guys didn't?
Yeah, and Other Guys, like, people love that movie.
It just didn't make any money. Was the problem.
Yeah.
Daddy's Home made a lot of money. So my number 2 is going to be Matt Damon in Good Will Hunting.
Oh, dude, how do you like them apples?
Right? Because like again, he's like you're watching him and you're like I could be a genius. You're like you're watching him and you're like I could solve some problem.
I could be smart if I wasn't so dumb.
But more than that, he's just like you just love everything about him. He's like from Boston. He's got his best friend, and he wants to work construction.
He will get in a fight in a heartbeat.
But he's smarter than everyone.
Smarter than everyone. He gets the girl's number who everyone loves.
Yeah, and there's the scene when he like goes in and Stellan Skarsgård's trying to make him do work, and he's like, you know how fucking easy this is for me.
You know,
he's like tearing up.
Like, this is a fucking joke to me.
Yeah.
He just sets it on fire and he's like on his knees.
Yeah.
Oh god.
It's a great movie.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Man.
So he just I don't know, he was just cool. He just really was cool, I thought.
Yeah, he was. He was like the cool nerd. He was the first version of the cool nerd. And I'm gonna go to the other end of that spectrum with just the coolest dude ever. And it's also in this movie. It's Rusty in Fight Club as Tyler Durden.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt in Fight Club as Tyler Durden. Like, first of all, not only did I want to look like that guy more than anyone else ever.
Yeah.
Like,
but you currently had the Maximus haircut.
I currently had the Maximus haircut and I weighed 165 pounds and I was 12.
So you took the Caesar and you tried to kind of spike it up a little.
Spike it up. Just wanted to destroy something beautiful. He was just the cool, like, Tyler Durden is the coolest.
The coolest.
Like, ever. He's the guy that, like,
yeah,
you shoot at a van full of explosives and he goes, wow!
Yeah.
Whoa!
He's like, he's like jacked. He was like covered in tats, and he's just like the
cool.
coolest.
He has sex forever.
Yeah.
Like him and Marla just go at it for. You don't even.
Yeah.
I was 13. I didn't even understand.
Yeah.
What was going on, but I was like, that's cool.
He like steals fat to make soap to sell to women.
Yeah, he burns the guy's hand, but then he puts up his own. He's like, I did it to myself, and you're like, I want to do that to myself.
And he's like, yo, you know, single serving friends, and he's like, no, I get it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
"That's
I get
clever.
it. You're
How's that
clever.
working out for you?
Yeah, yeah.
He's
And
clever.
you're just like,
being clever, and you're like,
yeah, you're like, fuck, man. When I grow up, I want to be that guy.
you're like, I want to be an asshole, but confident, but cool,
And say things that, like, even though I'm an asshole, people are kind of like, I want to be friends with that guy.
yeah, smartest guy in the room
yeah,
type
yeah.
of status. Yeah, just the coolest. So that's your number one.
Yep, and your number one is,
my number one's gonna be Clooney in Ocean's 11, because like,
of course it is.
he is the coolest. The other one that I wrote down here that I didn't use is Pierce Brosnan in Goldeneye with the helmet hair.
That's so good. I really wanted to use Matthew McConaughey and Lincoln Lawyer, but we didn't grow up with
Right, yeah, yeah. And
But he did make me feel
McConaughey
cool.
was awesome, but he didn't become awesome McConaughey till we were older.
Yeah, yeah, for
Um,
sure.
He's pretty terrific in Magic Mike. Just watch that movie. Very good. Enjoyable
Yeah, no,
movie.
you love that movie.
Yeah, big fan.
All right, moving on to, we did star profiles, we did all that, we did our shout outs.
I don't have any idea what the Patreon preview for this episode is going to be because it's like 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, I don't either. Maybe we'll do
So-
a birthday celebration for you.
Maybe. Yeah.
We probably won't.
Probably won't.
No.
Just film it.
Why don't you guys let us know if you guys want something? We've done a lot of different content now. There's a bunch of new movies that have come out. Ben and I see basically everything that comes out.
If you guys give us $1,000, we'll post the Count to 10 video.
We'll probably that video's fantastic.
Needs to never be shown in the light
Count
of
to
day.
10. All right, so moving on to production development. I'm gonna just hop in real quick and talk about Jerry Weintraub. Rest in peace. He is one of the heavy hitters in Hollywood. He's been a producer for the last like 40 years. I think his first credit ever was something to do with Frank Sinatra back in the 70s. It was like a music video or something. He worked on the TV show and movie Nashville for a while, and then
I believe he not a producer on the original Ocean's 11, or am I wrong about that?
I think he might be. I know he was on the original Karate Kid, Karate Kid 2, Karate Kid 3. Like, this guy's been around he did all the Karate Kids. He did the Vegas Vacation. He did the original Avengers.
Yep.
Which is Ralph Fiennes, Uma Thurman, and Sean Connery.
Yeah.
One of the few movies that Sean Connery dies in.
Yeah, not a great movie. He did not do the original.
No, he didn't. He did Soldier with Van Damme, and then he did all of the Ocean's movies. And the last thing that he did, as well as Karate Kid, the new one, the last thing he did before passing was actually Westworld, which I know season 2 just got released.
I love it.
I need to watch it.
It's so good.
I've seen like 2 episodes in it, and I was fine with it.
Big fan. Moving over to director.
Yep.
Steven Soderbergh. So Soderbergh is definitely a guy that I don't think we've ever done one of his movies before.
We haven't. And I almost wanted to make my thesis that he is the great unsung director of our generation.
So
But
Soderbergh,
it's tough.
So Soderbergh, for those of you that are like not clear on who he is, he had his big moment right here. This is his big moment.
This is his moment.
He does-
It's actually a year after his big moment.
Yeah, he does Traffic and Aaron Brockovich the literal same calendar year. He gets nominated for Best Director for both movies in the same group of 5. He's 2 of the 5 nominations in 2000, and he does Ocean's 11 in 2001.
And doesn't he win?
He won Best Director
Yeah.
for Traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Brockovich, Julia
Won
Roberts,
Best Actress. Yeah.
So, but interestingly enough, then they both lost to Gladiator for Best Picture. But Ridley Scott didn't get the win. So, but anyway, he continues to do movies in the 2000s, and as he continues going, his movies get a little bit more like esoteric and weirder, and then he doesn't really have a hit for a long time. He makes a lot of movies, and they're like Contagion, or he just made
Yeah.
Unsane.
Yeah, and you and I went to a screener of that, and it was not good.
Yeah, and he's definitely a director that's willing to try. But what's interesting about Soderbergh is the first part of his career, the late 80s, mid 90s part.
He's one of the greatest, and late 90s too.
Yeah, because the early stuff is all like way indie weird stuff. Like he breaks onto the scene with Sex, Lies, and Videotape, which is a good movie.
Oh,
But then he does
yeah.
The Limey, he does Shizopolis, he does like all these movies in the 90s that most people just don't remember or didn't see. That he's totally like, that's who he was. He was an indie director. And Out of Sight in 1996 is the breakthrough movie.
The one that puts him on the main scale of like, I am a Hollywood director now.
Yeah, it's stylish and cool and sexy. And I honestly feel like if you go watch Out of Sight, you'll be like, I totally understand where Ocean's 11 came from. I understand why they wanted him to do this movie, because it's got so many of the same things. It stars George Clooney. But
He did Grey's Anatomy
yeah.
before, which was like a weird indie movie. It's not actually the show.
Yeah.
And then Out of Sight, and then The Limey, and then it was like Aaron Brockovich, Traffic,
Yeah.
Ocean's 11, Full Frontal, Solaris. Like,
Yeah,
he
exactly.
hit his stride.
Yeah, because the thing with him was he was one of those guys that was stylish and cool and wanted to do these like sexy weird movies for like a few years, and then Out of Sight, like it's truly the crossover movie, and then he does The Limey, and then people are like, all right, well,
Did you see Logan Lucky?
I didn't watch it.
Because he also did Logan Lucky, Magic Mike, which you like, Haywire, and he also did
Haywire's so bad.
The Informant and Che Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I've seen like basically nothing that he's done after the Ocean's movies.
Okay, yeah. And because he also did 12 and 13, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did them all.
So he's definitely just one of those directors that's like clearly made the movies that he's wanted to make.
Yeah, I almost wanted to hop in and say that he's like one of the he is the great unsung director of our generation, but it felt inappropriate after looking at the movies he's done and the fact that he still is making movies now. Like Unsane was bad. It was
He's
just a
shot
bad
on an
movie.
iPhone. I mean, he's just that guy. He
Well,
wants
yeah,
to do
because
stuff like
he's
that.
like the guy that likes to do those weird things.
Yeah, I think he cast a porn star in one of his movies. I think Sasha Grey might have starred in a movie he did, or it wasn't Sasha Grey, it was somebody else. But he
Right.
cast somebody who was like a very like a retired porn star as like an actress. That's just like a thing he does. So I'm a big fan of Soderbergh in general. I don't have as much faith in him as a director as I used to.
No, I don't think he can actually do what he used to do. I think he's gotten.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know what it is. Yeah.
I'm not compelled to watch Logan Lucky. Contagion was fine. He still can get big casts. It's
I heard
just
Logan Lucky was okay.
Yes.
Steven, did you see Logan Lucky?
No, I did not actually.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's 3 out of 3.
yeah, I've just heard weird stuff about it.
So moving on to critical and box office reception, this movie did very well. As you can see, it got 2 more movies made after its sequel. So it cost $85 million to make, which is actually pretty, it's pretty impressive thinking they were shooting in Vegas with those A-list stars.
B-roll up while you're talking about that their heist sequence.
Oh, yeah,
excellent,
yeah, that's so cool. December 7th was when it released, 2001, which makes sense. It's a family movie. It made $183 million domestic and an additional $267 million foreign for a grand total of just under $500 million in 2001 at $450 million, and it opened at number 1 at $38 million. It's got a 7.8 on IMDb, and it's got an 82% by all critics, an 86 by top, and an 80 by audience, which I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense to me, but those numbers are all fine.
Yeah.
Like any of those numbers works for me. I do believe this movie is in the 8s. I think it's good enough.
Yeah, totally solid. It's just one of the greatest heist movies ever. I mean, it's really, really, really good. And the funny thing is, the original is like worse by most people's standards. The original of this movie is like it's the Rat Pack, the original Rat Pack. So Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. And who am I forgetting? Humphrey Bogart, was it?
I don't know. I'm not good with that. I'm
Okay.
good with that old stuff.
No, maybe it was Dean Martin. It might have been Dean Martin. But anyway, the original is like not a movie people think is great. It's just like kind of a popcorn movie with like a really famous cast.
Whereas you watch the end of this movie and you're like, man, they got me.
Yeah.
I had no idea. The SWAT team,
Yeah.
the fake setup. Like, I love the foreshadowing early on. We're like, oh, to practice? He's like, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Like, why are we building an exact replica?
Yeah.
Practice? Something like that. He's just the coolest. Clooney's the coolest.
Yeah, he is the absolute
Yeah.
coolest. Yeah, no question. All right, let's get into the next bit of the show, guys. We're going to talk about favorite line here. So this is the your favorite line in the film.
Yep. And mine is straight up. It's like they're actually there are 2 of them right in the same scene. It's between Clooney and Tess. I think it's a great scene. And the first one is she goes, "You're a liar and a thief."
Yeah.
And he goes, "I only lied about being a thief."
Yeah, it's a good one.
And I don't do that anymore. And then the other one is
You're going to steal my... I think you're going to steal it.
then say yours.
My favorite is when he looks at her and he says, does he make you laugh?
He doesn't make me cry.
Yeah, he doesn't make me cry.
Yep.
It's such a good line.
It's such a good line.
I was watching it last night and I hadn't seen this movie in 10 years.
I'm
and
almost pretty sure I've been told that in my life.
Yeah,
You
and
know what I
she
mean?
says it, and you're like, so that was my other thing that I forgot to say. My fist pump moment. The fist pump moment for me is at the end when she runs after him, and she's like, "That's my husband." I was like, "Yes, he's got her back."
Because she finally admits it. Because
Yeah.
the whole movie, he says, "My wife."
Yeah.
Everyone says your ex-wife,
Yeah.
and he's like, "My wife."
Yeah.
I love it.
I loved it.
That's
yeah.
fucking great.
It was a great fist pump. It made me. I was watching it and I got like a little tear.
I love that you and I both picked the same one. He
Yeah.
doesn't make me cry.
It's a great line.
It's a great line because it's so. I mean, it's just so true.
Yeah.
Yep.
So all right, fair enough. That's favorite line.
Cool. That's so funny.
Yeah. All right.
They came from the exact same, like 30 seconds apart.
Yeah,
All
totally.
the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that scene. I actually like that entire scene when Danny first shows up and he's like talking to her and she wants him to leave, and then Benedict shows up and he's like, "Oh, I'm in your seat." And
Well, he shows up, and for me, because I hadn't seen this movie as much as you, I was like, "Oh shit,
yeah,
what's gonna go down?"
and you can tell he like knows. He's like, "Oh, I heard you just got out of prison." You know, so how's it feel to be out? You know, he's like, "Oh, it's okay." And then they're talking, and he's like, he's just looking at Tess and just holding her hands, and he's like, "I can't imagine we'll be seeing Danny anytime soon."
We won't see him anymore.
And he's like, "Terry, Danny," and they like don't even look at each other, and he just walks away. It's just like perfect. He's like such a cock. Andy Garcia.
Because isn't that what you would do if you're fucking
and if you're that powerful,
in your own hotel, in your own casino,
and he's
like,
sitting
what are
in
you
your seat
in my seat with my girl? What are you doing here, man?
Yeah, it makes you angry.
I'm angry. All right, so we don't have any AMA questions because we're doing a pre-tape and we're like a month ahead of time right now.
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
But we do have the categories.
Yeah, we have 3 action movie categories. There are totally ridiculous, totally legitimate, and ridiculously legitimate are the 3 categories. So totally ridiculous, it's like Face Off, Demolition Man, Con Air. Totally absurd, kind of just falls off the face of the earth of absurdity. Totally legit, that's like movies like Terminator 2, Lone
Deepwater
Survivor.
Horizon,
Yeah, dramatic, held together by really strong performances, and they never really lose you or make you laugh. And then ridiculously legit is the middle category, and that's everything from like, you know, John Wick 1 to Predator or Speed,
Rock,
Point Break.
yeah.
They're really awesome, driven by like some really great principles, but they also are a little silly, and you laugh a little bit here and there.
I need you to go first.
I gotta say, I think this movie is the middle category. I think it's ridiculously legit.
Yeah, because I think that if it was totally legitimate, a lot of the best things in this movie wouldn't hit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I think it's just like a little bit. It's aged in a way that makes me feel like it's sillier than I thought at the time. The fun stuff feels like it's dated. Like watching it, it feels like a movie from 2001. Even just like they're all very famous now, but they're also not very famous in the way that they were. Like
that's exactly what I was going to ask you because I feel like Damon is by far and away the most famous now.
Yeah, I mean,
who would you say is the most famous person in this cast
of the
now
of the whole cast?
Just whatever, anyone.
The most famous person in this entire cast is Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
And it's because he's Brad Pitt.
He's Brad Pitt.
He's like the only he has been the guy. He was like the Brangelina. He was that guy for so long. And it's not even that I think
him and Aniston like
it's not even because he's like doing things now that are super relevant. It's just that he's Brad Pitt, so he's managed to like be a sex symbol for
Brad
like
Pitt was
20
always
years.
a bigger social icon than anyone else.
Yeah, I would say number 2 is probably Matt Damon because I think he's managed to. And it's weird.
I guess you would go Roberts and then Clooney now because Clooney's kind of just fallen off.
Yeah, he's like still really famous, but like only kind of in his own way. Like, what was the last like super relevant thing George Clooney was in?
No idea. Burn After Reading.
Yeah, what was the last like
The Men Who Stare at Ghosts?
He did Hail Caesar, but that movie sucked. No one watched that.
No.
I don't know what the last thing Clooney was actually in that was good was. I can't offhand think.
No. Let us know, guys. Let us know in the comments. Let us know what your favorite Clooney performance is in the last 5 years. And Ben, we've only got one thing left on the show.
That's going to be called The Pitch.
It's pretty good. Couldn't do it. My voice is...
You're losing your voice.
I am. We don't actually know what our pitch is. I think we're going to do Ocean's 8 next week as long as it's good, which
Gravity.
I really hope it is.
Gravity.
Yeah, Gravity's huge.
2013.
Huge.
5 years ago.
Very good movie. Like I was saying, I think we're going to do Ocean's 8 as long as it's a good movie, which I really hope it is.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's not, maybe we'll try to do another heist movie.
Yeah, maybe a heist movie, or maybe we'll go something older. I mean, we're jumping back and forth between new and old movies. We've done a lot of new ones this summer. There's a lot of new ones coming up, so maybe we'll cover something like The Mask of Zorro or something sweet like that. There's definitely
Hunted.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Probably not. We'll probably never do The Hunted. I've given up on it.
We have a few minutes left to wrap the show. Should we tag the end of the show with any dumb, fun things? Is there anything we want to talk about? We never have extra time. We just...
I don't know. What should we do? I mean, I really got to go to the bathroom.
We seemingly got through this episode and covered everything we wanted to cover. I mean, anybody in the movie we didn't talk about that we wanted to...
I'm really curious about what's going on with the Battle Royale right now. I feel like right now Mission Impossible 3 is just destroying everything in the AMA Battle Royale. Yeah, I actually don't know.
It's on the Action Movie Anatomy fan page. There's a thing going on right now that the moderators have all put together. Paul Denuzzo and Richard and basically they're like one at a time pitting the movies we've done on the show against each other and
in
going through,
chronological order.
Yeah, in different groups to find out what's the ultimate AMA movie ever. And it definitely feels like Mission Impossible 3 is a pretty strong contender.
Yeah, it's doing real well right now. And whatever movie wins, we're going to cover it again on the show, which
will
be fun. Yeah,
exactly. I think that's... what are you looking forward to this summer? This is in the future, so...
I mean, I booked a TV show. It's a Chinese TV series.
This is 3 weeks from now. I pray to God that it all works out well.
I really do, too. Yeah. I really hope that it all works. As of right now, I know that I've booked a role on a Chinese TV series, and I will be filming in Vegas from August to October. I hope that works out. I hope it keeps happening.
Me too.
You and I both know in this business a lot of things fall through in last minute, and it might not, but that's one thing I'm looking forward to this summer.
That's super sweet.
But
There's some movies coming out I'm looking forward to. I'm actually pretty excited. Well, really excited for Mission Impossible.
Fallout looks amazing. All the posters of Cavill and his mustache look amazing.
I'm excited for what's it called? Sicario 2.
Soldado.
Yeah, another Josh Brolin movie. I'm pumped for that. Comic-Con will be coming up shortly after this.
You'll be there.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It should be good. There's some cool, career stuff on the horizon for me as a possibility.
Do you think that Soldado's... Do you think Brolin's performances are going to go Thanos, Soldado, Deadpool? In that order?
I think he'll be better than he is in Soldado. I
think so?
I just think
Soldado, he just doesn't give a shit.
He's gonna phone it in. Yeah. It's just that movie is like a barely better than a straight to video sequel.
If he doesn't phone it in, that character's not as good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Different director too.
Yeah,
at least Sheridan's still writing it. I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, the guy who is directing it is a Spanish director named or Mexican director. I can't think what his name is, but anyway.
Yeah, we got to wrap it up because I'm going to pee my pants.
Got it. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for watching. If you want to follow along in the conversation, you can find me on Twitter at BenBateMedia. You can follow the Patreon, patreon.com/Team Action. Extra content. Please help us support us there. It's the best thing you can do to keep us going with extra stuff.
Yeah, you guys can find me at Andrew Ghai, and please support the Facebook fan pages. We have an Action Movie Anatomy fan page that is directly correlated to this show. We also have the Action Army fan page, which is for our Schmoes personas, which hopefully we won our match. I'm sure we did.
Yeah,
I'm sure we did.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you same time, same place next week.
Bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.